Good morning, Reverend Al here, coming to you from my living room to yours. The candle that is lit beside me on my right is there as we think about all of the family and friends of those who are ill with the virus. When our family and friends are ill, we really want to be with them and hold their hands and hug them and give them a kiss and let them know we're there. And there are so many who can't do that today. We light the candle in a reminder to them that we're with you. In heart and spirit, we know what you're going through. This week, I've been thinking about sermons. I typically like doing sermons. At the same time, I do like a break occasionally. Well, the break has been a little longer than I normally like because of coronavirus. And so today, I'm just talking a little bit about sermons. When I was a very young minister, I served a church that everybody called each other brother and sister. And there's this one fellow named Brother Neville. Center aisle, six pew back. We had a great relationship. He and his wife really enjoyed coming to church and chatting during coffee time. But during the sermon, almost invariably, he would start falling asleep. And I was okay with that, except he would snore very loudly. So the ushers would kind of gently tap him on the shoulder, and he would startle and come back to present, and we would carry on a bit longer. I would do my sermon a bit more, and he would fall asleep again. I remember conversing with him one day after church, saying, he said to me, "I'm so sorry, Reverend Al, that I fall asleep in your sermons, but I go clamming really early in the morning, and when I get into the warm church, I can't help but fall asleep." I remember thinking that, well, I could probably shorten these sermons a little bit, and he may not go to sleep quite as quickly. So I started making them a little shorter, never quite short enough to prevent him going to sleep, but certainly short enough so he could catch something and the congregation would be okay with the whole process. So short sermons have been on my mind lately, and I came across a book by someone that we totally think the world of, Peter Panagore, and his book entitled 2 Minutes for God, Quick Fixes for the Spirit. I thought I would read a story from it because it just really seems appropriate for today. Here we go. It's entitled The Shortest Sermon. As I read the story, I encourage you just to kind of settle your feet, close your hands if you wish, close your eyes if you want to, just center and hear this brief story. It was beautiful outside. The sun was shining. It was warm. The church windows were open, letting a cooling breeze move through the sanctuary. Nobody wanted to be in church. The head deacon, the leader of the church, went up to the minister and said, "Please, whatever you do, don't make it complex this morning. Make it easy. Make it simple. Make it short." When it came time for the sermon, the minister waved his 4-page, single-spaced manuscript in the air, saying, "I spent all week working on this sermon. I researched it, I wrote it, rewrote it, and edited it. It's a brilliant sermon. Maybe it's the best one I've ever written. I read theologians for the sermon. I researched ancient texts. I worked back and forth through the scriptures. It has big words in it. It'll take concentration to follow it, but I promise it's worth it. That means no staring out the windows and no listening to birds singing." He paused, then added, "I could preach this sermon today, or quote the world's shortest sermon and pretty much say the same thing. What do you want me to do?" As one people, as one body, the congregation shouted, "The shortest sermon!" The minister smiled, glanced out the window at the sunny day, looked back at the congregation, cleared his throat, waited a moment, and then said clearly and loudly, "Love." and promptly sat down. I see this sermon being preached all around me today. The grandchildren who call to say, "Papa, are you okay?" The nieces and nephews who check in. The neighbors who walk by and wave and, "How are you doing, Al?" Oh, I know there are people who aren't so kind and out of self-worry and concern hoard food at grocery stores. But there are also those who ask, "Do you have enough food in your home? Are you okay?" And there are other employers who are glad to be able to let people go and have them free of their payroll. But there are so many more who are working diligently to keep folks in their jobs and help them to make it through. The sermon, love, is being preached all around us. May you, may I, may we together have a different perspective on life. Let us look for that sermon of love. May it lift our spirits and hold us close, no matter whether we can be together or not. May love be a part of your life and my life today. Amen.